Hey everybody, thanks for subscribing to Project Wheelchair Gunfighter's YouTube channel. We had another YouTube channel and was getting a little bit more of the kind of just, hey, this is what we're doing this week. It was just random training clips. It really wasn't going anywhere. This one's going to be much more directed. Hopefully this channel is going to be about 90% information, so we're going to bring mostly the information from the results of our experiments, if you want to call them that, our training progress. The objective of this page is to pass information pertaining to wheelchair self-defense. Some of it will be self-defense in general, as how it manifests itself in the schools from which we teach here at White Rabbit Protecting Strategies. But mostly it'll be geared around stuff relating to wheelchair self-defense, particularly with firearms, but also hand-to-hand, and addressing unique vulnerabilities for people in wheelchairs and possibly other disabilities if people bring it up. For example, there's another individual with which we're associated who was also a wounded vet. He has one arm, so we're going to be doing some collaborative series with him on kind of comparing how defense with a wheelchair looks versus defense with, say, one arm looks. Just to give you some contrast and kind of open up your mind a little bit as to what disabled self-defense concepts kind of look like. Anyone who knows me knows that I don't really like the word disabled, because disabled kind of implies that you're incapable of doing certain things. And the reality is most people in wheelchairs know perfectly well there isn't really anything you can't do, it's just that you have to do them differently. So that's how we approach self-defense too. Unfortunately, with this kind-hearted nature that we have as a society, which, by the way, don't get me wrong, is a needed and very good thing, it unfortunately breeds very much a sense of dependency in people who are less fortunate in their physical capabilities. That's just been my observation. There's many people I see are discouraged in thinking that there's just things that they can't do, and it's not true. So hopefully this video, these videos that go into this channel will help alleviate that mentality and help open some people in wheelchairs, open the minds of those people in wheelchairs who think that there's things that they can't do, and start maybe getting them thinking in the direction of serious self-defense for them. Because the paradigm is very different from able-bodied self-defense. For very fundamental reasons, you can't take a system that's built for able-bodied people and just adapt the moves for a wheelchair person. Everything is very fundamentally different. How we generate power, how we move, our paths of travel, when you talk about strategic problem solving and the overall dynamic of a scenario, so everything is different. A very large demographic as well for this channel is able-bodied martial arts and firearms instructors. I've gotten probably more requests from firearms instructors and general self-defense instructors than anybody else, than any number of disabled individuals, wheelchair-bound individuals, for this information, because they have students who come to them. It's not economically viable for an instructor who owns a school to take a weekend off and travel somewhere and take a class just on wheelchair self-defense. It's just not viable for the amount of people he's likely to have come into his studio. Statistically speaking, there's just not many of us. The wheelchair population is very small. So this will hopefully serve as a launching point for that information, so that instructors can see it and begin thinking in that direction and seeing how fundamentally different this dynamic is, and you can begin to apply the general strategies and tactics and hopefully technique suggestions. And I say suggestions because the difference between wheelchair types and body types and injury types and the combination that comes from all of those results in a vastly different personal dynamic and solution subsets from individual to individual because of all those combinations. It's just impossible to say this technique is for people in wheelchairs. It's not that simple. It will never be that simple. So the suggestions that I come up with are going to be stuff that works for me and are rather robust, meaning that we can do them pretty much almost completely wrong and they still kind of work. So within that context, it's much more likely that if you are of a vastly different physical capacity, you'll still be able to do something similar to that technique. So that's what I mean by technique suggestions, and that's the length of which we'll discuss techniques as they're typically referred to. Usually when we're talking about techniques with our training core, we're talking about the movements we do in a drill to illustrate a deeper concept. As the saying in the martial arts community goes, you learn a technique, you know a technique. You learn a concept, you know 1,000 techniques. So you take the concept to heart and start to think tactically and strategically, and you kind of are more able to improvise as you need to in a survival situation. Kind of the Russian Sistema mentality that way. So keep watching us. We're going to be posting hopefully a couple videos a week geared towards instructors and individuals in wheelchairs, interested third parties, I don't care, but it's mostly to those two dynamics, or those two categories of individuals, the instructors and those who are actually bound to wheelchairs, or know people who are bound to wheelchairs. So keep up with us. Thanks for subscribing. If you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, you can email me at wheelchairgunfighter@gmail.com or jake@whiterabbitprotection.com. Send me your suggestion. Hey, I'd like to see this. What about this? Whatever. For those of you who don't know, I already have a DVD out through Personal Defense Network. It's really a whole lot less of really specific things you can do on the range and more of some general ideas to begin opening your mind to what the differences are between training with a pistol as a self-defense, able-bodied, self-defense-minded civilian and someone in a wheelchair, just to expand your mind a little bit. But look for that. You can get that at sto-usa.com. That's Southern Tactical and Outdoors, if you want to Google it. You can also check out my articles with Recoil Web at, I believe it's recoilweb.com. There's a couple articles on there about wheelchair concealed carry, and as soon as I get around to it, I'll also be sending in some more articles pertinent to self-defense. So look for all that. You can find us on Facebook. We're kind of all over. We're pretty much everywhere, but Twitter and what's the other one? Instagram. So we're not there yet. I haven't developed that kind of level of tech savvy yet. But so keep watching the channel. Send in your suggestions, and thank you for watching.